Australia is situated entirely in the southern hemisphere between the Indian and the Pacific Ocean, south of the maritime Southeast Asia and north of the Antarctic, with a population of 25.8 million. The animals of Australia are some of the most interesting in the world, from cuddly marsupials to a huge variety of birds. It is easier to spot kangaroos in a field and farmland on New South Wales, but koalas, platypuses are a little more elusive, so you have to go wild. This is a very protected area with very strict conditions on what you can bring into the country. They are very protective of their native wildlife, and it is a beautiful, beautiful country. Graham Arnold began his 20-year career at Canterbury, but he's more famous for his 178 game stay at Sydney United. In between them, he travelled to Belgium and Holland and totalled 453 games as a striker, scoring 161 goals. He represented Australia 56 times, scoring 19 goals, and moved into coaching while still playing at Sydney United early in his career, but did it full-time for Northern Spirit as a player-manager. Took the reins of the assistant role at Australia for 2000 to 2006 and a spell in between as a caretaker. Took over the under-23s job, then joined A-League Central Mariners, winning the Premiership and finishing runners-up once more. Overseas didn't bear much fruit for him, and he came back to Sydney FC again in the A-League and went back-to-back before joining Australia in 2018. He took the under-23s to third in the AFC Under-23 Championships and has stabilised Australia, but can they kick on? Time will tell what Graham, a highly rated coach locally, can do with this squad at a World Cup. Jamie McLaren is Aussie's Roy of the Rovers, and the Sunbury-spawned striker has had a varied career, seeing him train as a youth at Blackburn Rovers in the United Kingdom. A-League stints at Perth Glory, where he had 38 games and 11 goals, Brisbane Roar 53 games and 40 goals, and overseas action at Darmstadt 98 in Germany, where he played 7 games and went scoreless, and Hibernian in Scotland 27 games and 9 goals. He returned home back to the land of Down Under, where he's excelled for Melbourne City, 91 games, reeling in 77 goals. He's a real fox in a box who only needs a whiff of the target to score a goal and combines pace with excellent anticipation, and represented Australia 26 times and scoring 8 goals. The 2-time Premiership player and 3-time Golden Boot winner in the A-League is expected to fire his team. If they are to get out the group stages, the goals will come from this kid. It's something a bit different for one to watch. We're looking at Martin Boyle, and he's one that you've certainly got to keep your eyes on. This flair-based, exciting winger who can move into the central positions is famous in the SPFL in Scotland, with perhaps one of the best chants in the game. Hailing originally from Aberdeen, but Australian through family, he has set the local world alight for Montrose at the early part of his career before the SPFL came knocking and Dundee signed him. But it was at Hibs where he's become famous, 187 games for them and 47 goals in his first stint before a move to Saudi Arabia followed, but he was soon back in his homeland of Scotland, playing 12 times this year and scoring 5 goals. Loves to cut inside and take the game on. He is a real outlet for his sides and has tricks to beat just about any defender in the game. Playing 19 times for the Socceroos with 5 goals, he's proud to play for Australia, and he's deadly if left unattended. Tim Cahill is perhaps the most well-known Aussie outside of these shores, and he shone in the World Cup, proudly representing the Socceroos at 3 World Cups and scored in all of them. He began his career at Millwall, where in a tough league for a tough side he shone, playing 217 times in his first stint with them, scoring 52 goals. He was then the Premier League clubs came knocking, and Everton benefited more than most. 226 games for him and 56 goals, cementing his place in EPL folklore with a very famous celebration. Moved to the States, China, and then back to the UK on loan before returning home with Melbourne City, He won a variety of cups in his tenure, but his proudest moment will forever be winning the Asian Cup for Australia in 2015. He was the first Australian to score at a World Cup and the Asian Cup, and his name will go down in footballing history for that. He's one of the best Australian players that have ever been produced, and is the all-time leading goal scorer for his country with 50 goals in 108 caps. This is Australia's 6th appearance at the World Cup, and their best performance was the round 16 in the 2006 World Cup. This is their 4th World Cup they've qualified on the bounce, with 3 group stages in between that round 16 game. Can they get out of the groups and get into the knockouts, where we know anything can happen? They've got a tough group, but as we've seen at World Cups, anything can happen. Australian qualifying finished behind Saudi Arabia and Japan in the group stages, and played opposite third place UAE in the 4th round of the AFC qualification. They beat them quite comfortably and set themselves to play in Qatar versus Peru. They drew 0-0 but managed to do a Holland and brought on Redmayne late, a specialist at saving penalties, and they progressed by winning 5-4 on penalties. They've had the luxury of playing at one of the stadiums at Al Rayyan. Will this hold them in good stead for the big dance? They begin their campaign on the 22nd of November versus France at the Al Janoub Stadium, before facing Tunisia on the 26th of November at Stadium 974 in Doha. They finished their campaign in the groups versus the Danes at Education City Stadium Al Rayyan, in what is a very tough group for the Aussies. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you did enjoy the video. If you could do me a favour and hit that like button and hit that subscribe, we're well on our way to 10k, and it would be much obliged. Take it a step further if you want, become a member of the channel. Link is in the description to do that. You can click 2 videos here on the screen, and we'll be back soon with more AFL and more football coming soon. Look after yourself. Pom out.